What does first degree price discrimination entail? It shows that firms are going to be able to capture all consumer surplus by charging each customer the maximum each is willing to pay. So this is going to be the situation where the firm knows exactly what customers want to pay for the particular product, and they're going to be charging that maximum amount. So here, let's go ahead and take a look at first degree price discrimination. First degree price discrimination. Price discrimination. And another name that we give to first degree price discrimination is perfect price discrimination. So perfect price discrimination, first degree price discrimination, they mean the same thing for us. And like we said, this is going to be charging every single customer, charging each customer the maximum price each is willing to pay. The max price each is willing to pay. Each is willing to pay. So charging every single customer the maximum price each of them is willing to pay. And when this happens, we have zero consumer surplus. So all the firm in the scenario is expropriating all consumer surplus. All consumer surplus. So this is where producer surplus is actually going to be maximized to the highest amount possible. Here, consumer surplus is essentially done away with because every single consumer is being charged exactly the maximum price he or she would be willing to pay for the product. So an example of this is, suppose that you value this particular good that I'm selling for at $100. What am I going to be charging you? I'm going to charge you exactly $100. If you suppose value the good at, say, $150, I would go ahead and choose to charge you $150. So I know exactly what your maximum willingness to pay is, and that's exactly what I'm going to be charging you. So what type of scenarios would we see this first degree price discrimination in application? The best example of first degree price discrimination that we do have are going to be with auctions. So auctions, we can say eBay in this case, maybe some type of garage sales or flea markets. So it all falls along the lines of first degree price discrimination. So what exactly do you do in an auction? You bid up to your maximum willingness to pay. If there's an item up for sale for auction, you're going to bid, say, if you value the good at $300, that is the most you would ever bid. You're not going to bid $299 and undervalue yourself. You're not going to bid $301 because that's exactly more than your willingness to pay. You're going to pay exactly the most. What is the most you're going to ever want to pay for this product is your maximum willingness to pay in this instance. So auctions, eBay, garage sales, flea markets, it all falls along the lines of first degree price discrimination. And in this case, we do notice that the firm is going to be maximizing its profits compared to if it had to charge every single customer the same exact price. So with first degree price discrimination, the monopolist goes to person A, B, C, D, E, and then so on down the line and charges each of them the maximum willingness each consumer is willing to pay. So take a look at this chart right here. We have demand, we have marginal revenue for the monopolist, and we have the marginal cost, which equals to ATC, just for simplicity in this case. If the firm were going to charge everyone the same exact price, we would go ahead and follow the 5-step pattern for maximizing profits. Marginal revenue intersects marginal cost right here. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to find the profit maximizing Q. That's QM. Step number 3 is to find the profit maximizing price. Here, remember, price is always right off of the demand curve. So at this intersection, we go all the way to the demand curve. We hit at demand curve at point A right here. And the price that it's going to charge every single person is PM. Step number 4, find the ATC, simple enough task. It's going to be this green line that we have right here. And step number 5 is to find the profit. And everything that we see in this rectangle right here, this light blue coloring, is the profits for the monopolist if it charged everyone the same exact price, a fairly large area. However, can the monopolist improve on that? And the answer is yes, by practicing some type of first degree or perfect price discrimination. Remember that every single point along the demand curve represents a willingness to pay, a consumer's willingness to pay. There are some people that value the good very highly, so they have a very high willingness to pay, and there are some people that don't value the good as much, so they have a relatively low willingness to pay. So what does the monopolist do in this scenario? It goes and says, hey, for the very first quantity for the very first unit of output for this particular good, I'm going to go ahead and find the person that has the highest willingness to pay and charge him that amount. So say maybe PT is say 101 and the unit right after that is 100. So they're going to go ahead and say, hey, I charge this very first unit, this consumer right here, $100. And then they go to the next person who has the next highest willing to pay, maybe $99, and say, hey, I'm going to charge you $99 for this good. And then this continues on for the next consumer, consumer after that, and then so on until we finally reach equilibrium at point B right here. And what do we notice? By charging every single customer the highest willingness to pay, their maximum willingness to pay, they gain additional areas for their profit. So these two triangles right here, the dark blue triangles, are the additional profits that the monopolist is going to make by charging everyone their maximum willingness to pay. So that additional profit is going to lead to this entire big triangle right here as the profit or the producer surplus for the firm if they're able to practice first-degree price discrimination. Before, with charging everyone the same exact price, they'd only have this rectangle area right here, but now with perfect price discrimination, they have the larger triangle, this entire area right here, where there is no consumer surplus at all. So what we have right here is exactly what monopolies would like to pursue, to practice some type of first-degree price discrimination in order to increase their own profits. And can we find a specific value for the producer surplus or producer profit in this case? Absolutely we can, because the shape of this the shape right here is going to be a triangle, and we already know how to find out the area of a triangle. So 1/2 times the base times the height. So the base right here is going to be QC minus 0 because that's the distance right here. And then the height is going to be PT minus PC. So if we gave you specific numbers for each of these variables right here, you'd be able to find that area for all of these. So let's go ahead and write that down just so you have it in the back of your notes. So here, the big triangle is exactly going to be the producer profit or surplus. Producer, surplus, or profit. Here, we're going to use the words profit and surplus a little bit interchangeably. And of course, it is a triangle, so we can use the area of a triangle to figure out this area. It's going to be 1/2 times PT minus PC times QC minus 0. 1/2 times the base times the height. And if we gave you specific numbers, you just go ahead and insert that into the equation that you have right here. So first degree price discrimination is exactly where we're going to be seeing the producer profit being maximized compared to anything else, any other scenario that we can imagine. And it's going to be very difficult for firms to actually practice this first degree price discrimination because they typically don't know everybody's willingness to pay or their maximum willingness to pay. So they have to guess a little bit. But if they have this type of perfect information, they can read into your minds and say, hey, I know exactly the maximum price you'd be willing to pay for this object, then they would obviously want to go ahead and charge you that price.